Hi there, and welcome to this interview of Colin Pell. I'm Thomas Morgan and I will be conducting the interview. The way things work, you won't actually see me after this short announcement, so I'm just introducing myself, and from here on in, Colin will be in the hot seat. So sit back and enjoy the interview, and thanks very much for watching. I shouldn't say that, should I? Anyway, this is a trial interview with Colin for the purposes of this exercise, so we could stop and start and muck around and change our minds and discuss the ins and outs of what we're doing, so just bear in mind that while you're watching this recording. So Colin, the first question on the great list is what is your full name, and how did you come by the name? Is there any story behind that?
Well, the name is Colin Claude Pell. Now, I don't know where the Colin came in, but the Claude is from my father. His name was Claude Victor Pell, so that's where it comes from. I don't think it has any family connotations or anything like that, but that's where the name Claude came from.
So you weren't named after anybody else in particular? No.
My dad's father was a Robert Thomas, and I can't think of any other people in the family that have the name of Claude. Not immediate family, anyway.
Sure. So did you have a nickname, though, when you were growing up, when you were younger? The chaps?
No, I don't think we did have a nickname. I mean, I was born in 1924, and if a person was christened or named, your parents used the correct name. There's no nicknames.
Right, okay.
As far as I can remember.
Yep. And what about as an adult? Did you have any nicknames with your workmates or anybody else?
Oh, you got nicknames and workmates, yes. If we had a staff of 27 in the Lands and Survey, and I suppose some of the nicknames wouldn't have been very, well, they weren't endearing, but some of my friends always had the name of Charlie Horse. Where they got the name from, I don't know, but that was just one of the things that I was given.
Okay. And do members of the family call you that now, by any chance?
No, they do not call me that. I mean, I don't think the two girls would probably even know of it.
Right, okay.
But some of my contemporaries and the people I work with, yes, you would be greeted by that name. Because they have their own nickname too, which you'd use for them.
Which you won't mention now.
No, there's no need to.
No. So, where were you born and when? Is the beginning of the story?
Well, the beginning of the story was the 28th of November 1924, St Helens Hospital, and I think I was told at 9:30 a.m. in the morning. That's as far as I know of.
Where is St Helens Hospital?
This is in Wellington and Newtown.
Oh, okay. Is that hospital still around now? Is it?
No, it is not in use now. I don't know what use the building is for now. It could be apartments, I have no idea.
Sure. So, do you remember hearing your grandparents describing their lives?
No, I don't. On my mother's side, my grandfather died in 1935. My grandmother was... No, I can never remember even her. She came from Norwich, as a matter of fact, my mother, mother. And on Dad's side, my grandfather there was a seaman. He jumped ship in New Zealand, in Wellington, about 1875. I never knew him because he died in 1924 in February. I was born in November. But my grandmother, no, I can't even remember her. Describing their lives, although we do know a fair amount of what has been researched.
So you do remember them to some degree? Or?
Oh, yes.
Yes. So what do you know about them?
My grandfather, well, he jumped ship, as I said, in about 1875, and he went as well. There were two of them that jumped ship, and they went up Tinnacory Road and up Glenmore Street and went as far as the main road in Karori. Now, opposite St Mary's Church at that time was a butcher's shop. and they slept underneath or in the cellar or in the basement of this butcher shop amongst the bones of animals that had been cut up and used for meat and things like that. And the next day they ran all the way up, down the road, up to Parkvale Road, and they worked on a farm in Karori. Now he subsequently became a carrier in Karori, and they had about 14 drivers. That was all horse and drays in those days. And what I know that all the drivers, there were 14 of them as far as I've been told, they would do all their carrying business in Wellington, and they would drive the horse and carts up Glenmore Street till they came to where the Kelvin Viaduct is now, in a place called the Riggy. It's a tennis court.
Oh, yes, yes.
And all the drays were uncoupled there, and the horses were all driven up to Karori. And their house was evidently quite a large place, and it was behind what is known the Regal Theatre in Karori. Of course, it's not a theatre anymore, and that's where they lived.
Oh my gosh. And who would be the oldest person you could remember as a child in the family? I suppose it would be your grandparents, or?
My father's mother, Anne Elizabeth Pell. She was an Anne Elizabeth Brooks, and her father came out from England with his wife, which was Sarah, in 1854 in a boat, in a vessel called the Gypsy.
Goodness.
Now her parents were also on that ship, and her father, William Sewell, only lived 9 days after he arrived in Wellington. He died of, I think, of a subsequent of a fall on the ship. He probably had a leg injury.
Oh, there's a problem we hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
We'll stop for the phone. Hold on, I'll just unplug. Yep.
All set. Now William Sewell, he arrived on the Gypsy in, I think it was in November 1854, but he only lived 9 days after he arrived. He must have had a fall, and he injured his leg, and I think he got gangrene and died. Now his wife Sarah, who was another Sarah, she was left a widow, of course. She was 67 at the time, and she opened a store or a shop in 223 Main Road, Karori. The house is still there, and it's well documented in Karori history that she was a storekeeper.
Oh my gosh.
So that's initially some of the start of the family.
Sure.
From the Sewells to the Brooks to the Pells. There we go.
And do you remember the family discussing the world events and politics? That's a tricky one.
Never.
Never.
When you're young, you're not interested in politics or the world. We were always looking out for fun. Something like that.
Yes. And what was fun? What was the sort of fun you looked out for?
Well, it depends on your age. I was an only child, so I spent a lot of time on my own, but my parents had a house in Queen's Drive in Lower Bay, and in about 1929 they decided to buy another house in Miramar. Now this is in Calabar Road, on the eastern side of Calabar Road. The house is still there, and of course where the main aerodrome is now, there's a large hill, and there were forts, and there were slides, sledges, all sorts of things that you can get up to. So that was where we had our fun. I see occasionally.